Hi, Miss Morphew here. It is our final week of winter term. Congratulations on your persistence and on the skills that you've been able to demonstrate and gain through this very abridged course. Warning, Will Robinson, our final day to accept all the discussion posts and replies, to accept the outlines and the final paper and the URL for Persuasive is Friday. You want to be able to post your URL maybe by Wednesday so that you can have people look at it, your base group members, maybe others review it, offer you some feedback, and you can offer feedback to them. Big deal. We close on Friday. We are doing a persuasive speech. It is the great work that you're going to be able to show. You know how to follow this formula, which is one effective formula for planning and presenting your message. This expository speech is persuasive. In persuasive, our central idea is called a proposition because we're proposing an argument. And in our format, we're actually putting in a direct call to action with that proposition. So you need to be able to say that. If you look at the rubric, you will find that, number one, it's not timed. You probably want to have at least 4 to 6 minutes. We found that you can get a lot of information in that time and a lot of support that will grab our hearts and our minds, and all of those quoted or paraphrased or summarized sources that you're going to say and plan how you say and say them well. You can have all of that, but you probably don't want it less than 4 minutes. I've had people go 25 minutes when they really were passionate about, looked for sources and backed up their arguments. You do it, it's good for you. But try to get that URL, that outline in right away if you choose to have feedback, and that URL in maybe by Wednesday so that everybody can view your videos and you can view theirs and y'all can reply by Friday. One of the things that I've seen in the outline plans that have come in, the various outline plans, is that some people aren't using those intentional transitions. And those transitional words and phrases can really elevate your personal speaking and your academic writing. Please be sure, as you're showing us the problem, the solution, and the benefit, the typical parts of a very motivating, persuasive speech that calls you to action, that you are including transitional phrases. And then before you say your conclusion, you have a word there too, like in conclusion or to sum it all up. We have those transition sheet options, that list, that are in week 2 of our course outline. But if you just did a web search and typed in transition word and phrases, you'll find there are many different lists. So I put a graphic out there to show you that our intro and our conclusion hold the guts together. They hold that rich body with all of the details. And that intro might have sesame seeds on the top. So it's really going to be appealing. As you look at this graphic, I'm going to guide you through the elements I really want to make sure you say. In your intro, I've seen some great speeches and great outline plans where you have the attention getter, you layer it up with those support tools in our toolbox. Maybe you ask a question and give a fact and give a quote and tell a story that's all about that topic, whatever the problem is that you want us to help address by doing a certain action. Once you have the attention getter and you've gotten our interest, your viewers' interest, you want to do that credibility. And again, I've seen some great ones for you guys. People are really layering it up. You don't just say one little thing. You really add a variety of that support. And it comes from your heart. It comes from your experience, your connection to the topic. So we as viewers think, yeah, that person knows about this topic. Next, in the intro, you have that proposition. What are you proposing? Is something good? Is something bad? Is there a problem? Say that in your proposition, but don't forget, you've got to say your direct call to action, what you want us to do. And then your last part of the introduction is that preview, that statement where you help us mentally organize what your structure of your body is going to be. All right. Next, you have all the good guts. The first one in a persuasive formula is that we're going to show that there's a problem. Really layer up the support, stack up those support tools, and you can watch those 2 videos by Dr. Alex Lyon, communication coach, to understand the difference between informative and persuasive, to understand, as he explores Monroe's motivated sequence. Take the time to watch those 2 videos, because he's going to talk about that stacking of appeals. And I think that that will help you understand better before you go into your outline and start to lay your plan out. The second part, after you've shown us the problem, actually has a little element we call a counter argument. In persuasion, it's very helpful when you are having a variety of listeners. You can be aware that there are people who may think differently. So you acknowledge that other side. You say what the counterpoint is and maybe why they think that way, or share some of their ideas. And then I used to say, you cut them off at the knees, but technically you refute their argument and show why your way is a different way to think about it. So we have problem with the counter argument. Then there's solution. What are you saying is going to help mitigate or get rid of or lessen that problem? What can we do? What steps can we take? It might be a general thing like, I think you need to go, or not I think, you go vote, or it might be eat healthier lunches. And there might be several steps in there. And you could say, for the healthier lunches, eat an apple instead of drinking an apple juice. Share with your friends or your social media group your meals or something. Set a diet. I think I've saw some outlines where they talk about recording your things. Give the solution and to the problem. And then the last one in a persuasive thing, we got problems, counter argument, solution. The last one is benefits. What would the world look like if we all did what you suggest? What would be the real benefit of that? If you can show how it erases all the negative problems, then we are more motivated to take your direct action. The final thing is the conclusion. And I have the little bun down there. It doesn't have any sesame seeds on it. It's very simple. Have your transition phrase about it being a conclusion. That helps us trigger in our mind that you are finishing up. Say your proposition and your call to action again, and close maybe with some strong line. Perhaps you said something in your attention getter. I've seen some good through lines with you guys, and you want to refer to it again in the conclusion. That's a simple version of what you're going to find on that outline plan. Remember to get rid of those blue notes. They're to help guide you, but the preview doesn't have to be all those 4 blue notes. They can simply be just the structure of your speech. The next assignment you have to do this week is called a final written self-evaluation. John Dewey said, we don't learn from having experience. We learn from reflecting on our experiences. So I want you to look at your scores. I want you to look at your reflection journals. I want you to look at the feedback you receive from peers or from me. And I want you to write a 1 to 2 page paper. You can look at the exemplars, the student examples for the final written self-evaluation, and you can look at how I score final written self-evaluation. It's all about formatting. We don't use real MLA, it's MLA-ish, because usually you do not cite a reflection journal entry in an academic paper. Usually you wouldn't cite just a score or something that somebody wrote to you in a discussion board as a source. So I've asked you to do a very simple thing with just writing what the source is, and you can put it in the sentence like we've done with our outline plans, or you can just put the parentheses and write what the source is, comma, and then the MLA date of that. All right. Check out the exemplars. That's probably the most helpful thing. And that needs to get into the Dropbox on Friday, by Friday, before Friday. Remember, your librarians and your learning center are there for you. You can get help, and I hope you think you can always call me.